Hello everybody. I know I haven't made a video in a very long time and I want to talk about why, but life has just been very hectic and I finally got a second and I'm excited because I was thinking about this that I'm going to talk about in this video earlier today, and I just had one of those moments where it's not even that it's something new that you're thinking about, it's just that I don't know, I just had a mind blown moment to where I was just like, this is so obvious, like what, like how is this normalized. And the thing that I want to talk about today is fornication and how it is an entirely selfish act, right? And don't get me wrong, all sin is selfish. Like lying is selfish because you were so obsessed with looking right or not being seen as having done something wrong that you are willing to lie to cover yourself up. That's very selfish without even considering the other person. Gossip is wrong because you are just obsessed with the fact that talking about other people makes you feel good. You don't even think about the consequences of what you're doing, tarnishing someone else's name. All sin is selfish, is what I'm trying to say. It comes from a place of me, and not considering other people. But I think that fornication is especially selfish, especially when you think about the consequences that come with the act. And the fact that people still insist on doing it, and not only doing it, but justifying it and seeing nothing wrong with it, right? From a biblical perspective, we know very clearly stated in the Bible in 1 Thessalonians that this is the will of God, even your sanctification, that you abstain from fornication. That is very clear. As a Christian, there's no debating that. God does not want us to fornicate, right? And that by itself is enough reason. But you look around and you see the consequences of fornication. They are countless, enormous. So many of the things that are wrong with our society, with our families, the broken families, the dads leaving, single motherhood, all these things that are wrong, teenage pregnancy, all these things that happen as abortion, as a consequence of fornication, are so rampant in our society. Yet, we are not looking at what the problem is. We are insisting on still continuing on with this act and acting as though it's normal and it's okay. I'm talking to both Christians and non-Christians here. This you don't even need to be a Christian to see that this is absolutely, I don't know. I just had a moment and I was just like, this is crazy. It is so selfish. Think about it. Not only because it goes against biblical values, but also the act itself. It is so driven by the strength of selfishness, of just me, what feels good to me, what gives pleasure to me, what I want, that you disregard, first of all, the other person who's doing the act with you, their future. You're probably not going to marry this person, whether it's a woman or a man. You're probably not going to end up with this person, but you go into this act with them, not regarding them and their future or whatever's going to happen with them. You're going to discard them and move on to the next person. And then you're not thinking about the potential child that could come out of the act, because no one who's above the age of, say, 14 doesn't know what happens when a man and a woman unite. You know what happens, yet you still choose to do it anyway. And then obviously that's what leads to things like abortion, which is abominable. Anyway. Also, you are not considering God's design for marriage. If you're a Christian and you've ever had the thought, oh, maybe it's not so bad that I do this thing, and why can't God just let us do this thing? That thought by itself is very selfish. It's incredibly selfish, because you are just so concerned with what you want that you are questioning God's almighty holy design. That is it's incredibly selfish. So what I'm trying to drive home here is the fact that fornication is selfish in every sense of the word. You cannot justify it without saying, oh, but it's what makes me happy, which is what our society wants us to believe, right? That all that matters is what makes us happy, what's good for us. Selfishness isn't even a concept in society. It's good that you consider what matters to you first over and above the consequences of the action. It's good that you focus on what's going to bring you joy and happiness over and above how it affects other people around you. That's a good thing. In fact, you're not thinking about yourself enough. You cannot think about yourself enough into the society. And I completely disagree with that sentiment. I think that we think about ourselves entirely too much, and that is the problem with society. We need to think about ourselves less. We need to focus on ourselves less. We need to be more concerned about what we're doing for other people. We need to be more concerned about what we're doing for God, because that is the purpose of our lives. What are we doing for God? And fornication is in direct opposition to what God would have us do. So I don't know, I'm just baffled by the fact that this is such a normalized act. not only because it goes against God's perfect holy design for marriage, for family, for reproduction, but also because when you look around, you see just how horrible, only bad can come of that. Only bad. And the only quote unquote good thing is the pleasure or whatever joy that you think it gives you in that moment, which isn't even a good thing because it's selfish. So yeah, I would just urge you to really think about it and consider the weight and the consequences and just the way that action, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me and I'm just so very conscious about how if I'm doing something, is there something good that can come out of it, or is it entirely just for me to give me any kind of anything, you know? And I don't know about you guys, but that helps me stay out of just doing things that are bad or sinning in my day-to-day life, just because I stop and I ask myself, why would you want to do this? Why would you want to tell this lie to make yourself look good? And why are you envying another person's things or or coveting after someone else's things or coveting after something that someone else has? It's because you think that you deserve it and you should have it. Based on what, you know? So just thinking of it from that standpoint can just stop us from doing so many things that, again, come from a selfish place and a place of me, which is anti-biblical, anti-Christian, and I think is very definition of what our biggest spiritual problem is in this world today. It's just selfishness. And I just wanted to use fornication as a case in point for how selfishness, it really is such a huge problem. But yeah, guys, that's all that I wanted to say today. Hopefully I can make more videos, even though I doubt it. School is just really hectic right now. But I love a chance where I can sit down and make a video. Get so excited. Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching. See you on the next one.